Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you, doctor.
That's good. Okay. So this is a revision class. This is, of course, EA300B, and this is a master class. And we're doing it on Sunday because you guys have your midterm exam tomorrow, right? Don't you have one tomorrow? Your MTA. Correct me if I'm wrong.
MTA, it's the 5 of March, doctor. يوم الخميس إن شاء
Ah,
الله.
nice, very good. Which means that we still have time.
Yes,
I
doctor.
don't know why I was under the impression that the MTA is tomorrow. Okay, fine. Um, so it's the revision of the MTA. And before we get started with the substance, I would like to address myself to the procedural part, the format of the exam, how many questions and how many sections and parts and stuff like that. I think you're familiar with that already from your perhaps your EA300A experience. For those who are doing both of them this semester around, they are not very familiar, and this is obviously the people that we're addressing, and they happen to be the majority of population, I think. In terms of format, like I said, the exam is, of course, divided into two sections or two parts. You have a section on short answers, and the second section is on long answers. How many questions in total are we going to kind of react to or answer? We're going to answer three questions, two short answers and one long essay over the span of 2 hours. The midterm is usually 2 hours, and the final exam is usually 3 hours. So, would it be enough for me to write three answers to three different questions in 2 hours? Absolutely, yeah. You will have all the time there is. I think 2 hours is more than enough for three answers. Two of them are short answers, and I'll define short answers in a minute. Okay, so let's address the first section, which is the short answer part. Again, you will have three choices, and you're supposed to attempt to only two. So what happens if you attempt three? We don't normally consider the third answer. So obviously, you're wasting your time. If we give you three choices and you choose the three, no. So again, the short answers part is three questions, and you are required to answer only two of them. Um, and then you move to the second part, which is obviously the longer answer part, where we give you two questions and we ask you to attempt only one of them. Again, not the two. Again, if you attempt the two, we tend to ignore the second answer, and perhaps the second answer is better than your first answer. So make no mistake about it. We only mark what we require you to answer, nothing else. Okay, let me go back or shift back to the short answers part and our expectations as markers and as teachers. Again, we said that you have three questions and you try only two of them and you write short answers. Short answers does not mean that you write a paragraph, does not mean that you write a couple of lines. No, short answers, a maximum of a short answer would be half a page. And I'll tell you why. If you're generous, if you have ideas and the inspiration is obviously non-stop and flowing and you don't want to stop it, so one page would be maximum, because obviously If you go beyond 1 page, it means that you're not attempting a short answer. That would go, or that would become the long answer territory. Okay, so short answers means that you're writing uh, um, half a page, or maximally you would write a page. Okay, if you write a paragraph, that wouldn't be enough. If you write a couple of lines, that wouldn't be enough. Okay, I'll tell you why we insist that you have you know, a robust answer even in short answers, because with short answers, you do a number of things. You um, situate the point. I mean, you kind of relate it to its context, which is obviously either a picture book or a novel. And then you explain it, you expand on the ideas that we give you in this short answer, and then you provide examples. So do you think that you can do all of that in a couple of lines? The answer is no. Do you think you can do that in a paragraph? The answer is still no. Okay. So short answers means that you write between half a page and a page. Um, I'll give you, in a minute, I'll give you examples of those. Let's now move to the long answer part. This is the essay territory, where you're supposed to write a full-length essay. Whether you decide to choose to write on a close reading question, or kind of have a prompt. You respond to a prompt. Either way, you have to write an essay. You need to stick to the rules and conventions of essay writing, which means that you have to provide an introduction, and then you develop the ideas of the introduction in the body paragraphs, and then you conclude with a conclusion. Again, a minimum requirement for an essay would be two pages and a half. If you're generous and you have ideas, but those ideas make sense, you can go to 3 pages and a half. But we don't expect you to spend the rest of your life writing the long answer part. Writing pages and pages. Obviously, it's not about writing and writing and writing. It's not about writing, much, and it's not about writing little either. Again, I'm stressing the fact that no satisfactory essay writing question would be less than 2 pages and a half. Again, because you will be providing the text, a context for your answer. You're going to expand on the ideas that the question is about, and then you're going to provide examples, ample examples from the text. That wouldn't that would take pages and pages, not half a page, not a page, but but 2 pages minimum. 3 pages would be fine. 3 pages and a half. Okay. So again, it's about compactness. It's about relevance, and that would also lead me to talk about the idea, to talk about the substance itself. Whatever you're going to write. So whether it's short answers or long answers, your answers should be comprehensive, they should be relevant, and they should be clear. So you need to keep those 3 principles in mind. Be comprehensive, be relevant, and be clear. What do I mean by comprehensiveness? I mean that you have to cover all the aspects of the question. You don't write about something and leave something else. That would merit some soul searching, if you like. You need to think of the question. You need to think of the answer before you commit pen to paper, like they say. You need to read the question very well. You need to invest the right amount of time on the question. Okay. Sometimes people get they read the question very quickly and they see something that they are familiar with and they go right away and ask. No, you need to think. You need to have a plan. You need to think of all the elements that can come together so that it can give us a comprehensive picture of what is happening. So comprehensiveness means shumul. Your answer should be comprehensive, shamila, covering all the aspects of the questions, because when we set those questions, we actually give you a number of points to talk about. It's not only one single point, okay? So you need to be comprehensive. You need to be, and comprehensiveness in the same breath does not mean that you overwrite or you write irrelevant stuff. So comprehensiveness is not writing too much and writing extravagantly without any censor. No. Comprehensiveness is also restricted and bound by the rules of and the principles of relevance. You have to be relevant. Relevant in the sense that you answer only what is required. Relevance means that you have to invest the right amount of time reading the question so that you don't miss the point. Um, Missing the point is irrelevance. I know that there is a lot of overlap sometimes between the ideas and they come together, but even if they come together and even if they mix, you need to also show us that there is focus and there is relevance. I know it's a little bit fluid sometimes, but if you have gone or you have come that far, you know how to manipulate the material so that you can give us the best possible outcome and answer. So if you are comprehensive and if you are relevant, you are clear. So clarity is of the essence. Clarity is the best policy, which means that you have your essays and your answer should flow. You should be coherent. You should not be contradicting yourself. This is one. And also on the level of aesthetics, when we talk about the formal aspects of the answer, when I look, your handwriting is not straining for my eyes. It's not, your answer is not sloppy. You divide your answer into clear paragraphs. If your handwriting as bad as mine, you need to separate the paragraphs. You need to separate the lines. You need to, kind of work on. I mean, in one way or another, it doesn't have to be. Uh, Difficult to read. It has to, I have to know how to read it. So somehow you need to be careful with your handwriting. I mean, if you write very quickly and it makes only sense to only you need to go out of your way and write slowly so that we can understand what you mean and how you mean what you mean. So again, clarity comes from comprehensiveness and relevance, and it also comes from your how your answer looks. If it's neat, it's not sloppy. You divide your paragraphs well. I think if you observe these things, you're well on your way towards having the highest marks possible. Before I proceed to the content or the substance, come to the mic, and if you have any questions, ask me. Okay, right. Let's now move to the substance part. Let's talk about what is it that the exam uh, covers or addresses. What is interesting about EA300B is that it doesn't cover huge terrains unless we think of every each of work as a terrain in and of itself. In this case, it's very expansive. But in terms of numbers, you have only two pieces of work to worry about for the MTA. You have Tom's Midnight Garden, this very lovely novel, and you have The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So these are the only two pieces of work that you'll be tested on or against. Again, lots of things come with them, of course. The secondary sources and the secondary material that we have done together on Tom's Midnight Garden and also on The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So you have to read the secondary sources. You need to also study the codes. You need to engage with for example, if we talk about the picture book, you need to read about picture books and how different they are from non-different teacher picture books. Remember when we spoke about the drawings and where the characters are on the page, whether they are on the margins or in the center, and what that means, the characters standing or sitting next to each other, which of them is huge and the other is so little, and whether this means something. The colors, the changing of seasons, these are all codes that you need to crack, and you need to be able to uncover and answer and reveal. Um, because you may opt to answer the close reading question. Normally, in the essay part, you have the choice of either attempting an essay, a prompt, a question, or a close reading. A close reading can be a passage from the novel, or it can be a picture from the picture book. So you need to keep your guard up. Again, I'm stressing the fact that even if you're attempting a close reading, whether it's a picture or a text or a passage from the novel, you need to write a full essay. Again, 2 pages and a half and more. Minimum two pages and a half, like we said. Okay. So again, the things that you're supposed to be preparing for would be the picture book that we call The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and the novel Tom's Midnight Garden. You need to study them very thoroughly and be prepared, because again, they can be short answers, and they can also be long essays. And in the long essays part, they can come as prompt, or they can come as a passage or a picture that you need to fully engage in, and write an essay on or about. Okay, so let's now talk about two works that we have and perhaps highlight certain aspects of them. We've been doing them for quite some time, and we have generated so many videos on and about them. And I think no one here can deny the fact that they are, I mean, they are full in terms of the amount of knowledge that they will bring to the exam paper. So let's start with the picture book, and the picture book is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. With The Tale of Peter Rabbit, there is obviously the sky is the limit when it comes to the different interpretations. Again, perhaps before we talk about the interpretations, we talk about the form, how the picture book is written, and we said that this is we're talking about the turn of the the 20th century, early 20th century, late Victorian age, where obviously the background would be Victorian, where we're talking about traditional pieces of work. Traditional in terms of ideas and also in terms of form. So the picture book, like we said, cannot be fully understood and appreciated unless we fully engage with the picture. And this is exactly what we did. We looked at The Tale of Peter Rabbit. We spoke about its different visual aspects, and we said that it is a visual narrative. Visual narrative means that you have visuals, you have images, and you have texts. And this is an approach that we've been dealing with, this idea of multimodality. And multimodality is about engaging with the text on not only on the level of the words, but also on the level of visuals. So this is called multimodality, and you cannot do that with Tom's Midnight Garden, for example, because it's pure text. But you can do that with The Tale of Peter Rabbit. The Tale of Peter Rabbit is a picture book where obviously the picture and the text are in close proximity. They inform each other. If the text is silent on something, you go to the picture and things get revealed and explained. So we're talking about how inseparable the two are. When we talk about picture books, again, we need to think of the dimensions of the image or the picture, the colors. We need to look on the margins, who are there, from which angle of vision the narrative is being given to us, who is narrating and how. When we talk about The Tale of Peter Rabbit, we need to also remember that we have animals behaving and acting like human beings. And this is something that we're familiar with. It has always been in the literature and in children's literature, the idea of anthropomorphism. So anthropomorphism is about giving human qualities to animals or to creatures. This trend goes all the way back to Aesop, the Greek fabulist. The Tale of Peter Rabbit is an anthropomorphic piece of work. Beatrice Potter is not a fabulist because she's kind of um, neutral, perhaps. She doesn't give her views very directly. You can sense this fluctuation, this ambivalence in her views. You cannot really pin down what kind of views she has about Peter and what he did and stuff. So in this sense, she's not a fabulist, and fabulists are those who write fables where animals are involved. And they know my fabulists like Aesop had a moral lesson at the end of their work. With the Tale of Peter Rabbit and with Beatrice Potter, you don't have this obvious or clear moral, because again, it's because of the ambivalence that we feel, because of the open-ended closure at the end of the picture book, where you don't know whether the chamomile tea was a reward or a punishment. Uh, so that's why we say that Beatrice Potter is a post fabulist. She's not a fabulist in the traditional sense. Uh, so, what else about the tale of Peter Rabbit? Again, you need to look at the different symbols and the different signs, because this is part of your work on the visual codes that we've been talking about. You may want to read a Mobus article on visual codes and how to engage with them, and how you can use them to crack and uncover any secrets in any picture book. Um, and then we come to the ideas in the Tale of Peter Rabbit. The Tale of Peter Rabbit can be interpreted differently when we have spoken about the how diverse the interpretations are. We started off with the idea that this can be a cautionary tale. Cautionary tale is a tale or a story that uh, um, cautions us and warns us against something. It gives us an example. It gives us people tested and tried and put in compromising situations, and then when they come out of it, I mean, you don't know whether they come out of it one piece, and obviously they do, but obviously when they have, suffered a great deal. The tale of Peter Rabbit, in one interpretation, can be considered as a cautionary tale, where obviously um, the tale is warning children against disobedience. They shouldn't disobey their parents, and because if they do, they have themselves to blame. And uh, Peter and what happened to him is a very good example of that. We have Peter in front of them, telling them, see, when he disobeyed his mom, he was almost killed. And he had to run for his life, and he has to spend sleepless nights, and his mom trying to nurse him back to health, and all those kinds of. So on one level, the tale of Peter Rabbit can be considered a cautionary tale. On another level, you would think of the tale of Peter Rabbit as um, again stressing the idea of curiosity, where obviously, if we're not too philosophical about it, we would simply say that Peter is a child And children are normally dominated by their sense of curiosity. They can do anything. They can ask all types of questions, and they want to try and explore and everything in between. So in this case, the tale of Peter Rabbit can be considered as uh, the tale or the story of a curious child, a child who is exploring, who is asking all the right and the wrong questions. Again, that would link, because it's about curiosity, it's about knowing and exploring. You will have Peter embarking on an adventure to Mr. McGruger's garden, and obviously this is forbidden territory. And in this sense, he is um, moving from the territory of curiosity to the territory of danger. Again, it can be as simple as having a curious child who is exploring and trying, and it can be as philosophical as saying that the human beings are like that. The human beings are curious by nature, and they have this hunger for knowledge. Because with knowledge, power can come. And power, I mean, knowledge itself is power. So you may want to perhaps think of Peter in archetypal terms. You would think of him as another Dr. Faustus, perhaps, wanting more and more, wanting to know more and more. You would think of him as another Adam, perhaps eating from the forbidden tree. So it can be archetypal and philosophical. You go as far as linking Peter to Adam and linking Peter to Dr. Faustus, and it can be as simple as reducing it to mere child curiosity. A child who is curious, and children are all curious by nature. So you can talk about all of this. I mean, if you're asked to reflect on what Peter is and what he stands for, you don't have to stick to one point of view. You can introduce the different points of view, and you can talk about them and illustrate and give examples. What one interesting idea about the picture book is also the idea of the symbolism that normally comes with Peter, being seen at the beginning with clothes, and then over time he will get stripped of those clothes, and how those clothes are signs of civilization. When obviously when he was obedient and he was kind of following the rules and the law, he had his clothes on, and once he challenges the established order, and once he challenges the norms, and once he disobeys his mom, he is going to be stripped of his clothes, and he will be hunted down, and he will be uh, a game is normally an animal that is um, subject uh, to hunting. So again, this only happens when he disobeys. Again, perhaps we're talking about universal laws. You conform, you follow, you're safe. You don't conform, you don't follow, you challenge, you are not safe will first of all strip you of your clothes, obviously, because they are markers of civilization, so that you become a wild animal with not domesticated, not a pet, a mere animal in the wilderness. And in this case, you are fair game. Anyone can hunt you down, and obviously this is what happened with his dad. His dad also transgressed, challenged the order, regardless of who is setting this order, and he was made into a pie. Again, it's perhaps because of the fact that he showed disobedience. He didn't follow or obey the law. The law of the land is that Mr. McGruger is the owner of the garden, and going there without his knowledge and without his permission would amount to transgression and trespassing. And obviously, trespassing and transgression are punishable. And the punishment in the case of the father is that he was made into a pie, and the punishment for Peter is that he has to he had a near death experience, and his mom had to do a lot in order to nurse him back to health. So these are the ideas that I can think of now when it comes to the tale of Peter Rabbit. We have a lot of ideas, and we spoke about a lot, and obviously revision classes are not about revisiting every single thing we do in normal and regular classes, because it's obviously a physical impossibility to cover in an hour or an hour and a half, whatever we've been covering in perhaps 10 or 15 hours. Let's now move to the second book, which is, unless you guys have questions, let's first of all finish with the questions on the Tale of Peter Rabbit before we move on to Tom's Midnight God. Come to the mic.
Dr. Mahsen.
I'm not Dr. Mars.
Sorry, Dr. Sameh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
I have a question. For each novel we're gonna take, we have one question to write an essay about, like to essay different novel.
We said that we have two sections. We agreed on that. We have the short answers section where we will give you three choices for short answers, and you are supposed to write only two of the three. So two short answers and one long essay. And this essay can be a prompt, can be a couple of lines about something, and then you write an essay, or it can be close reading. Close reading can be a picture that you unpack, or it can be a passage from the novel that you can also unpack. Are you getting the idea?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Sameh.
Okay, you're welcome. And I'm stressing that this is very important. I'm stressing the fact that when you write, if you choose to write the close reading question, you have to write a full essay. Full essay means that not less than 2 pages and a half. Okay? So close readings, whether it's a passage or a picture, you need to write a full essay. Questions?
Yes, another
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, that's fine.
How many words do you want us to write? Like exactly.
Okay. Like exactly. Well, for the short answers, we said a minimum of half a page for one short answer. A minimum, which means that if you would like to write more, you shouldn't exceed a page. So the minimum would be half a page, and the maximum would be a page for the short answers part. Okay? For the essay, we said that I think 3 pages would be ideal. Is that clear, Gawahir?
Yes, of
I'm sorry,
course.
Jawhara, I'm not from Jawahir, right?
No, it's
Jawhara?
Jawahir. Jawahir,
Ahlan,
right?
Jawahir. Yeah, okay. Are you with me or with Dr. Mohsen?
No, I'm with you in part B. Yes.
Oh, nice. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. طيب, Kenzie, because you're raising your hand.
Doctor, I wanted to ask about the close reading.
Mm,
Since the first part, I've been having so much troubles with close reading because
mm,
I don't think that we've been given like enough materials about it.
mm.
So I was wondering if you could and I'm always trying to avoid it, but I have to like learn how to
But
do it. So
by the way, I mean, close readings are good news, not bad news, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But
okay.
finish
So I was
your
wondering
question.
if you could share some materials with us that would
Mm.
help us do better in close reading. That would be great.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that. But perhaps when we take a break, because I need to go and prepare it, and I'll have a passage,
Of
and
course,
I can
take your
start.
time.
Yeah, but
Take your time. Thanks.
let me, for the time being, let me tell you the good news about close readings. Close readings, whether they are, especially if they are passages taken from the novel, we normally we don't ask you to identify the where in the novel this part is, who the characters are, because we give you all those details. So we make it easy for you. We even tell you what the theme is. Can you imagine? With close readings and EA300B, we tell you that the theme of this part um, is this and that, and it's from this and that part in the novel, if it's in the novel or in the picture book. So all you need to do is to use the close reading. The passage itself can even help you. You can even provide examples using it. See? Again, close readings is about uh, um, ideas, an idea or a number of ideas. And the reading itself is part of this idea, is an example of this idea. So all you need to do is to elaborate on the points that you have in the close reading. So let's say that you have 3 or 4 ideas. So you put them together, you expand on them, and you write an essay, a whole essay around the whole thing. See? Again, close reading can be interesting, can also be, can give you marks because it's, again, I normally think of a close reading passage as a long or perhaps a very long prompt. The other type of question would be prompt. Prompt means that they give you a couple of lines and you have to figure out what is it that they want you to write about. So what is interesting about the close reading is that it's a prompt, it's a very long prompt. So if you don't understand the first couple of lines, perhaps you can understand the middle or even the end. Okay? So close reading is beneficial and is useful in some cases. We'll again when we break, I'll go. I'll think of something and come back to you, and we can try it. Any more questions about the tail of Peter Rabbit? Are you sure you don't have any questions about the tail of Peter Rabbit? Because it's
I have a
yeah,
question.
go ahead. Yeah,
It's general question.
yeah,
Like
go ahead.
when I was taking like one course for with another doctor, she said that if there is any definition that related to the store novel or theme, write it like in the like introduction or the first paragraph. Do you prefer this to write like a definition if it's related?
Yeah, if it's relevant, of course. I mean, obviously, you're talking about stock what definitions or stock introductions that can be used anywhere and everywhere. This is obviously what you mean, right? Is that what you have in mind?
Yes, yeah.
Well, I mean, the answer is okay and not okay. So it depends on how you're going to handle it. If you're smart, and I assume you are, and I'm sure you are, you can use this kind of stock introduction, but you can always tweak it so that it can serve your answer. So I'm not totally against stock introductions that you may memorize and you use, but you need to be able to tweak those introductions so that they can help your answer, so that we don't see the introduction going in one direction and the rest of the answer going to the other or in the other direction. But I'm not against them. Yeah, keep them
Yes, thank
generic,
you.
very generic. I mean, if they are very generic about that this is part of the novel such and it was written by such and such in the such and such age, and then a couple of lines about the age, and then you move on to the substance, what really matters in the answer and the question. I don't mind at all, provided that you do it in a very like I said, in a very smart way. Yeah, somebody's raising her hand. Kanzi again.
Yes, me again.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Um, about the critics.
Mhm.
Um,
What?
when there is a
Yeah,
question asking me about a certain critic, I know what I'm gonna do. But what if the essay question or or the short answer question, I'm expressing an idea or an opinion, and I want to support my writings using the critic name.
yeah,
So
that's fair enough. I mean, this is what we keep encouraging you to do. We're
okay,
saying that knowing what the critics are saying can inform your answer. Of
okay,
course, the more, yeah, it gives depth and profundity to your answer. Yeah, and obviously, this is very good, and I'm encouraging everyone to read the critics and what they say and support your answers using what they say. And by the way, you don't have to memorize what they say verbatim. No, it's not about memorizing. It's about, you know, transferring their ideas and using those ideas.
okay. What about if like I disagree with a certain critic? Do I
Mm-hmm.
write my own opinion too?
Absolutely, absolutely. No problem at all. No problem. Yeah,
Thank you, doctor.
you're welcome. Mm. Any more questions about the Tale of Peter Rabbit? Okay. Ah, yeah. Somebody was trying to raise her hand and okay. Fine. I will break for 10 minutes so that I can go and check for something that we can do together as perhaps an exercise in close reading. Um, so I'll see you in 10 minutes, inshallah. Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. Right.
Yes, doctor.
That's good. So now let's move to the second work, which is Tom's Midnight Garden. And Tom's Midnight Garden is a novel, and that it has all the features that we're familiar with when it comes to novels. You have characters, you have setting in terms of time and place. You have, of course, you have a plot, you have point of view, and of course, it has themes and ideas. Uh, what do we know about Tom's Midnight Garden? We know that it's a time slip narrative, where when we talk about slip narrative, we talk about people not moving in a linear way, not moving forward, they are moving backward. Time slip, it means that we have this possibility of going back to the past and actually kind of oscillating between the past and the present. Again, this only happens in magic realism or in magic realistic pieces of work. It doesn't happen in mainstream usual narratives where obviously people stick to the linearity of time. The work starts in one point and then it moves forward. So this is what we call linear time and linear narrative. Tom's Midnight Garden is not linear. Perhaps it will be linear. Perhaps it's one of the takeaways, things that both Tom and uh, us or we will realize that there is no escape from the linearity of life. No matter how hard we try, we can go back to the past and live there for a while, but you cannot obviously live there forever. And you live in the past in the form of a dream. If you dream, you can dream of past things. Tom's Midnight Garden is a lot of things. It's a very nice piece of work. It was written, it's a postmodern piece of work, but it doesn't have, no, it's not postmodern. No, it's not postmodern. It was written in the late 50s, right? So it's not postmodern ولا حاجة. It's a modern piece of work where obviously the writer meant for it to be perhaps a statement. She was making a statement. She was perhaps reliving past experiences. Again, it's perhaps about the happy old days when there was plenty, there was beauty, there was innocence. And obviously, those things, when the novelist wrote, those things were no more. She was perhaps lamenting those things and trying to relive them in the novel. So obviously, the idea of fantasy is very prominent, prominently in the novel. Because it's through fantasy that we will accept the idea of a magical garden that would take people all the way back to the Victorian age. And again, we need to suspend our disbelief, and because we're not saying that this is realistic in terms of themes and ideas. The idea of loss, the idea of generational gaps, the idea of people contracting measles. These are very realistic works, realistic ideas, obviously. What is not realistic is how they are portrayed to us and how we're dealing with them and how the novel is manipulating those very small ideas and making something big out of them. Um, Again, Tom's Midnight Garden is about a garden that at one point at night turns into uh, it becomes magical, magical in the sense that it takes you all the way back to the past. Is this normal? Yeah, we have seen that in many children's books. Yeah, this is normal. Um, and normally, when you do that, you have ideas and messages that you want to get across to other people. Obviously, you cannot go on a magical garden or a magical carpet alone. You need to have a playmate, and this is what we have seen in old, children's literature. And this is also what we have seen with Tom's Midnight Garden, where we have the character of Hattie as a companion. She's not a mere companion because companions can be secondary. Tom um, is nothing without Hattie. She is very transformational. The stories are hers. The memories are hers. The transformational tools are hers. To the extent that we started to talk about the title and why Hattie is not there. If the memories are hers, if the sad and the grief are hers, if she is the one responsible for the transformation of Tom, if this is all what she does, why doesn't she lay claim to the title or perhaps part of the title, right? This is one of the questions that we engaged in, if you still remember. Again, when we talk about Tom's Midnight Garden, we need to think of this idea of companionship, this idea of connection, human connection, and how human connection can help people. If you have issues and suffering and agonies, I mean, connection and human connection can mitigate those feelings, the severity of those feelings. Okay, remember, obviously, Hattie was given a shoulder to perhaps cry on. This is obviously Tom's shoulder. She relates. She gets things off her chest. And obviously, meeting with Tom was very therapeutic and was very healing for her. And it was an eye opener for him. So both of them learned a lot. She had somebody to share with her, her stories and what happened to her and her family. And obviously, sharing is caring, like they say. She managed to perhaps get those sad feelings off her chest. And he also benefited because he learned from her experiences. And we said that at one point, we said that gaining experience does not mean that you have to go through the experience yourself. You can listen to other people give you stories about their experiences, and you also learn a thing or two from what they have gone through. And this is exactly what Tom understood and acted on. He learned a lot. So that the Tom that you see at the end is totally different from the Tom that you see at the beginning. So again, it's human connection that we're referring to. So ideas that we keep talking about when it comes to Tom's Midnight Garden is the idea of fantasy, is the idea of human connection, is the idea of time and the fact that you have two different times running parallel. You have Kairos and the other kind of time. One of them is linear, moves from the past to the present to the future. There is obviously nothing strange about it. And the other is fantastic time, a time that may recoil back to the past and then move and shift to the present. And obviously, this is the time where, you know, impossible stuff happens. This is obviously the time of dreams and fantasy. What else did we talk about? Obviously, we spoke about lots of things. And again, you need to read. Of course, you have read that text already. I mean, perhaps, reading the critics and the scholars can inform your discussions and your essays. Let's go to, I have like past papers, exams from past semesters, and let's look at the style of the questions and perhaps try to attempt to answer them. Let me see if I can share. But perhaps before we talk about the questions, let me introduce you to the criteria and the marking rubric. So for example, in order for you to score A, can you see that? So excellent answers showing confident and wide-ranging knowledge of core material, good understanding of any relevant theory, and a capacity to address the question in a structural, direct, and effective way, thoughtfully and with insight. Originality of thought or ideas from outside the course are an added asset, and examples are to the point. So this is how you can secure an A. This is translatable into, in terms of language and organization, you have to have an introduction defining your plan for the essay. You have to have body paragraphs or body divided into several paragraphs, and you have to have a conclusion which directly relates arguments to topic. Of course, you have to provide evidence. You have to have error-free grammar and register. You have to have a wide range of specialized terminology. Again, like I said, the question or the exam is divided into two sections. You have a short answers section and you have a long answers section. Let's perhaps focus on the short. These are some of the questions, for example. Answer two of the following three questions in 50 words is not enough. So we're going to say half a page or a page maximum in short answers. So in Tom's Midnight Garden, the two timelines highlight social and cultural changes. What does Pierce reveal about the fragility of memory and childhood innocence? Think about that. Think about the question. In Tom's Midnight Garden, the two timelines highlight social and cultural changes. Do they? What does Pierce reveal about the fragility of memory and childhood innocence? What are you going to talk about? Obviously, it's an open question, and you can remember this is going to be written within the constraints of half a page or a page maximum. So what are you going to talk about here? So what are the key words and key concepts? We're talking about two timelines. So this is number one, right? Two timelines. And then we talk about social and cultural changes. And then the fragility of memory and childhood innocence. This is a broad question, and anything relevant can do. I mean, I bet that if we start writing, no two of us will write in the same way. But all of us are correct. If we address the idea of time, two different times, if we talk about memory, if we talk about childhood innocence, if we can manage to put all of that together in a nice half a page piece of composition, that would be great. What do you think we will talk about? Very quickly. Let me hear from you. What do you think? I mean, try. I mean, we're not mocking, and we're not judging either. Again, I'm stressing the fact that you need to underline key concepts and key words and key ideas, and then expand on those ideas and try to relate them together. Can you hear me? Hmm. Are you thinking about it? Are you thinking about an answer? Where obviously you talk about two different types of time and how one of them is helping the other. So obviously you start off with the linear time, and then came the garden with its magical time, and then with the magical time, which has a name in the book, you're moving to the past, you're learning from the past, and then your learning can will come and affect you, and you change, and it makes you perhaps more aware of the linearity of time, the fact that life goes on. See? And again, we're moving from childhood innocence to a stage of experience, where obviously the Tom um, that we meet at the end is totally different from the Tom that we meet at the beginning. So this is an example of how people can engage with questions. Let's move on. And then we have, obviously, in the first part, you have three questions, and you choose to write on two of them. The second one is in Tom's Midnight Garden, the revelation that old Mrs. Bartholomew is Hattie reframes the entire narrative. What impact does it have on both Tom and the reader? The revelation that old Mrs. Bartholomew is Hattie reframes the entire narrative. What impact does it have on both Tom and the reader? When you got when you got to know that Mrs. Bartholomew is none other than Hattie, was this a surprise? Why? And what dimension would that add to the novel? So again, it brings us to the idea, whose dream was it? Who stood to benefit more? Was it Tom benefiting from Hattie and her experiences and changing beyond recognition, or was it Mrs. Portodomo wanted to relive her past and her childhood, right? You need to think of it along those lines. Yeah, Kanji, go ahead.
Well, about Tom and Hattie, I think they were both benefiting from each other because, sorry, they were both in a very, very bad place. Tom was lonely and Hattie was feeling nostalgic. So finding each other's, even in her dreams, that was like something more of a like self-finding journey.
Yeah, I mean, the whole novel is self-discovery, right? Yeah, you're uh, you're moving to places, and they don't have to be geographical and physical places, so that you can understand yourself and get to know more about life and stuff. Yeah, again, it's up for grabs. As long as you're going to be convincing in your answer, there is no, uh, kind of all answers are correct as long as you write a decent piece of composition of no less than half a page. And then you have in The Tale of Peter Rabbit, Potter's use of anthropomorphism makes the story more relatable to children. Examine this claim with close reference. Yeah, that's the end of the question. The Tale of Peter Rabbit, or in The Tale of Peter Rabbit, the use or Potter's use of anthropomorphism makes the story more relatable to children. What do you think? So if you're going to talk about that, are you going to say you start off with whether you agree with the statement, whether you agree with the statement or not, or perhaps you need to explain what anthropomorphism is, and if you know a bit about its history, you can mention that, and then you go to Tom's Midnight Garden and answer, right? So you first of all start with what anthropomorphism is, right? And who are its pioneers? We're talking about Aesop, right? And then you move and talk about the novel. Okay, and why anthropomorphism is used, right? And then we move to the essay part. As you can see, you have two questions. One of them can be a prompt like this one, or it can be a close reading like this one. And I'll tell you what it is. The close reading in this case is a picture. Okay, so let's see the essay writing part where we have a prompt. In Beatrice Potter, in Pierce, uh, Tom's Midnight Garden, time functions as an active character, shaping events, relationships, and revelations in a novel. Discuss with reference to specific episodes from the novel to support your argument. So, do you think that time is that important to the extent that it can become a character in and of itself, shaping events, relationships, and revelations? What do you think? Do you agree with this statement? And can you come up with examples where you think time was, all in all, was very important? Yeah, I'm sure you have answers, but you're not perhaps ready. I mean, it would take some time for you to think and stuff. I agree and I understand. That's fine. Again, but we're all agreed on how important time is, right? And then the second part, which you may choose, would be a close reading. And this close reading in this part and in that exam was a picture from the tail of Peter Rabbit. So what does it say and how we're going to have it? See? So having all those words is good news, by the way. If you understand them very well, you're going to kind of navigate the essay part very well because you're going to use them. Because we tell you, give you signposts. We help you in the close reading part by mentioning the theme and the characters involved, and then you focus on the picture and go and dissect it and start to look at its different elements and crack its codes. So analyze the excerpt from Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit, focusing on how I'm telling you, see, the question is telling you, focusing on how the calm scene of Floppy, Mopsy, and Cottontail enjoying their supper reflects traditional gender constructs. How does their obedient behavior contrast with Peter's rebellious adventure? See, I am telling, or we are telling you everything. We're telling you to talk about gender roles. And we're telling you to tell us whether those gender roles are traditional or perhaps not. Whether the girls are doing what society expects them to do, whether the boy is doing what everybody expects. Yeah, it's all about gender roles. And we have a whole class on that. See how easy that is. And then you go to the picture, and the picture can tell you, can inform the discussion. Of course, you remember how obedient or overly obedient those girls were, right? And how overly rebellious Peter was, right? So it's self-explaining, if you ask me. All you need here is to elaborate. Elaboration. Elaboration is about expanding on the ideas that we have already given you. Well, I'm telling you, for God's sake, that it's about traditional gender. It's about gender. And we spoke enough about gender, right? We're talking about Peter and his rebellious adventure and whether this is, kind of in accordance with his gender or perhaps different and stuff. Easy question, like you see. Okay. So as you can see, the questions only need some sense. The questions only need you to be able to connect ideas together and come up with a decent, coherent piece of work. Let's, yeah. Jawahir, go ahead.
Dr. Sam, I have a question.
Yeah, go
Here,
ahead.
there's a specific question about gender roles. Should I also analyze the picture? Like, there's a picture.
Yeah. The picture is there to help you.
Mm.
It reinforces whatever ideas you're saying. But what I'm saying, because we were talking about how close readings can be good news. I'm saying that they can help you a great deal by telling you what is it that we want you to do. Okay, and then comes the picture or the reading or the passage if it's taken from the novel, and it can help you. You can take examples from it. You look at the character, if it's a picture, how they are lined up and how you see them. If you go back to the picture of those three girls, they are almost the same in size, in how they dress, very typical, right? Again, this is an indication that they are very traditional. Traditional in what they do and in also in how they dress. Okay. I know we have been together for quite some time. Let me take let me focus this time around only on the close reading, if there is one. Yeah, because actually it was taken from another novel that we're not doing, so that's why it's not here. Let me perhaps go to something else. Yeah, hopeful that we can find one here. Yeah. Yeah, this is another example of close reading where it's a picture. It's obviously the tail of Peter Rabbit again. So what does it say? Analyze the excerpt. I mean, analyze the picture, in other words, from Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit, focusing on Peter's reaction to being trapped and the sparrow's intervention. What lesson does this moment teach young readers about facing challenges? See, I mean, it pretty much says everything to you. And then you go to the picture, and the picture helps you even more. And then you read, because there is a text here. So Peter gave himself up for lost and shed big tears, but his sobs were overheard by some friendly sparrows who flew to him in great excitement and implored him to exert himself. See, again, it's full of very nice ideas that you can tweak and manipulate and then come up with a coherent essay. See, interesting. Of course, if you want to do the prompt based one, that's fine. You have, this is the prompt. Again, it's about the cyclical nature of life, and again, it's about the beginnings and endings and all those kinds. If you ask me if I have to choose, I'm going to choose this one. This one is easy, provided that I write a whole essay, not a couple of lines. This is the last one. I'm hopeful that we can find a close reading passage here. Yeah, no. So I think it's the same. No, this is different, but it's also a close reading kind of thing. So I analyze the excerpt below from Potter's The Tale of Peter Rabbit, focusing on the resilience of the vulnerable Peter and the subversion of power structures. Again, it's about Peter and how vulnerable but resilient he is, and how he is subverting the power structures by, kind of challenging Mr. Magruger and what Mr. Magruger stands for. Remember, he can be a colonizer, he can be the parental authority, he can be any kind of authority, and obviously Peter is challenging this kind of authority. And then this is an example. You see this guy's shoes, this is power, and then obviously he is kind of running away from him. But you need to always remember that Peter is the one who started it all, which means that he was challenging. He was not happy about the existing structure, power dynamics. See, very interesting. I think this is all I have for today. Um, if you have any questions, come to the mic. Okay, طيب. My
دكتور
people will, yeah, go ahead. We'll have a class tomorrow at um
أنا بسأل عن
yeah,
الكلوز ريدينج
yeah.
أنا
Yeah.
اللي أعرفه إن هي نكتب مقالة قصيرة. عادي لو ما عرفت أكمل الإجابة أكمل من فهمي.
ايوه بس تكتبي مقال، ما تكتبيش هي جاية في خانة ايه؟ جاية في خانة الإجابات الطويلة. ازاي بقى تكتبي إجابة قصيرة؟ احنا قلنا بنكتب مقال كامل، وكل
الكلا...
الكلام اللي
هو الكلاس ريدنج.
الكلوز ريدنج بيبقى اسي كامل، تكتبي مقال.
إيه الشورت أنسر هو القصير. خلاص فهمت.
ايوه.
شكرا دكتور.
There is okay, this is very important. There is no such thing as I don't know. You guys know a lot, and you shouldn't be leaving any questions unanswered. You have to write, okay? Um, those who attend, I don't know whether we have people attending with us the Human Edge series of courses. We have, I think we have like a meeting today at 10 p.m. صح? Right? Those who attend with us. Who attends with us? The Human Edge series. We started with critical thinking. We're finishing off critical thinking tonight, and then we're moving on Tuesday to soft skills, and then we move on, inshallah, next week to AI and beyond. Who attends with us? Kenzie attends. Reem, do you attend? Sadim, do you attend? So we're still, I mean, obviously the invitation is open. If you would like to attend, I think I shared the link in the Al Jahiziyya group. And I can share it, like half an hour before we start at 10 p.m. If you would like to attend, you haven't missed much. Again, there is something that I would like, there is a questionnaire that I would like to you also to complete. I'll send it to your emails and I would like you to complete it. طيب, we're meeting those who are with me. We're meeting tomorrow at, I think, 11. Is it 11? So according to Ramadan times, if it's 10, people meet at 11.
It is
So
10, Doctor.
نعم? What?
It is 10. It is at 10 p.m.
No, I'm talking about tomorrow's class. Tomorrow's EA300B class. So I'm saying that those who attend with me in my class, we have a class tomorrow at 11 a.m. Yeah, on this note and with this item, we come to the end of today's lovely master class. Thank you so much, and I'll see you. Assalamu alaikum. Bye-bye.